busy professional overwhelmed and misled by the stock market dogma of saving and working until you're 70? I'd like to help you out and get to know you a little bit better with a quick 15-minute strategy call. Hurry, as I'm only opening my schedule for a limited time as I take it easy the rest of the holiday season and get going for a busy new year. Book a call by going to simplepassivecashflow.com/talk.
Doing yourself, you're going to probably likely do more mistakes. So it's better to kind of work with others to see like, hey, how I can leverage someone who's already successful, being there, done that, and then start making some cash flows and kind of learn from these passive deals.
Elisa came to visit me in Hawaii. For those of you guys don't know, Elisa, we met, 3 years ago? Yeah. And when I was living up in Seattle, you at the time were still mom and pop investor. Right. With your partner trying to do single condos. And it's been good kind of on this journey with you the last few years. I thought we'd bring you on the podcast.
This is a story by Booming Lane. And one day he went and tried to rent them out, and then he became one real investor man.
And first question we always ask all guests is, how much simple passive cash flow are you making today, and how are you doing it?
Right now, I think we're on target to potentially quit our job next year. Yay. But we do have one big project that we're working on. So I would say like right now we're probably maybe 70% there. Kind of fluctuates here or there. But we have a couple projects that we're waiting for cash flow to come out, and then basically we'll be on target hopefully next year.
So what's target for you guys? I think everybody kind of ranges between $5,000 a month to most people are $10,000 to $20,000. Once in a while, I have these guys that are like, I want $200,000 a month, which is a little crazy, but
yeah. So I would say we're probably about $10K a month would be good. Really, $150,000 before tax amount.
Right, that's the key after taxes.
Yeah, but then when you look at real estate, there's so many great opportunities to save tax, which is why, I'm looking at our financials and like, hey, maybe we don't need 150, maybe we need a little bit less, given that all our income's coming from real estate.
Right, and when you get to 150,000 a year, it just doesn't stop. It continues to grow much faster than the pace of inflation.
Right.
For all these other guys investing in stock market stuff.
Yes.
So. Yeah, maybe take us back to like how you started post-recession, right?
Yes. Yeah, so we started in 2009, and basically, we saw the local market tanked, and then we're like, oh, maybe it's time to go buy something. And at the time, I had a pretty good cushion job working for the IT as a product manager or program manager. So the job security wise, it was not a concern during recession, which is huge. So, we accumulated a little bit more money. So we put a down payment actually for our primary home to start with. And then shortly after, we're like, well, the market is still tanking, so we should buy more. But, part of it is like we kind of a little bit out of capital. So then we're like, okay, who can we call to like help us get there? So essentially my mom was generous enough to give us a loan. Unlike other Asian family, they just give you money.
Yeah.
This was actually a loan. And because we kind of convinced her, hey, this is a good opportunity to buy. So we bought a condo on Capitol Hill. For those that lives in Seattle knows it's an A location because we didn't know any better.
Betting for appreciation, right? Like most people starting out.
Right, exactly. There's a lot of stuff that we kind of learned from that investment in terms of the pros and cons of.
You guys were ready to buy your primary residence pre-2008. You buy before or after?
After, yeah. So like 2009 is where we bought it. And then so I think it was July we bought it, and then in November we put a trigger on the rental condo. And
I think that's a lot of things people don't realize, like myself and yourself, like we did get really lucky starting out. I think the seed was planted 2006, 2007 to buy a house, but
not really. We were actually literally looking at like, oh, everything's on sale.
Oh, okay.
we should get in right now. Kind of knowing the market is maybe not at the bottom, but certainly downtrend.
So that first property, did did you have the down payment, the 20% saved up for that, or did you do?
Yes, I did. In fact, we did 25% because we wanted to avoid the PMIs.
Yeah, and you didn't know any better.
we didn't know any better. You know, the Asian way is like pay it down. Like even after we got our mortgages was on 15-year fixed.
Yeah.
And of course the cash flow wasn't great, but we were able to accumulate quite a bit equity that way.
Yeah. The Asian way is, I've heard of it, like if you have a new car and then that car is off the warranty, you got to go get a new car because it's a big risk.
Yeah.
And that car you pay cash for. So
right. So everything is like kind of pay cash, or you try to pay it off as soon as possible. So then you own the thing outright, and then not knowing, like, you know, leverage is actually your good friend if you used it properly.
Right. I mean, in their defense, I think, like I've heard of, like if you pay cash now, it's off your books. There's no lien. There's no paperwork.
Right.
So it's a way of being more private, but
right, because it's the ability to feel like you actually own something and nobody can take away from you.
Yeah.
But you don't realize there's a lot more equity sitting there. There's actually more someone can take away from you.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you're crazy rich Asians and you can do whatever you want.
Yes. Yeah. Not
so
there yet.
so I mean, if you listen to the podcast, you've heard of this concept of the Han Solo moment where something changes.
Yeah.
For you, what was that moment where things kind of really changed for you and you kind of take it to the next level?
Yeah, I'll have to go back to like 3.5 years ago or 4 years ago. You know, my moment was become a mother, and have my daughter was born about 3.5, almost 4 years ago, and basically, you know, we had a lot of time to think. You know, when you have a baby on hand, you're like, wow, like I could do this forever, spend more time with my kid, you know, versus working a day in and day out job. So that's kind of my moment of like, hey, how can I increase, you know, the cash flow of,
right,
or how can I use real estate to essentially quit my job? And that was the question I asked the internet. And led me to Bigger Pockets, and then subsequently led me to Ling, and then a couple other investors. I'm actually not really active on Bigger Pockets. So, you know, and then
hashtag broke people.
Right. So then we, you know, realized that cash flow really is the key here versus what we have been doing. At that time, we owned about 2 single family, not including our primary, in Seattle, but all of them are 15-year mortgages. Like, you know, we got a lot of equity in there. So, you know, I was kind of wondering about how do I do that? And then the answer was, hey, we should be getting into multifamily because that's where we have a lot more cash flow.
But, and I'll say, like, you guys listening, like, you know, Elisa and myself had kind of gone to the bigger stuff, the syndications and multifamily, but it was a phase thing, right? Like, you guys were doing the mom pa investor, building up equity, building up capital for 3-4 years, right? Doing the BRRRRs and rehabs.
Yeah. And again, everything's kind of like the timing. We got really lucky because the moment that we realized we needed to do cash flow was it just about, you know, it wasn't like the bottom of the market, but it was still, Seattle had a lot to go in terms of the market, getting equities and raising rent. You know, some of the rent growth in Seattle recently, like in between 2014 to 2016, it was just ridiculous. So that's kind of where we kind of got into the game. You know, really, majority of our property is purchased in 2015 to 2016. From then to now, like, you know, the rent in some cases doubled after we did the BRRRR strategy, which is buy rehab, refinance, rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
So you now, those are the properties that you're selling now with $150,000 of equity, and then you parlay that into bigger deals.
Right. Yeah. So they kind of, you know, we did refinancing out, you know, put out more than our principal, and that kind of allowed us to essentially, you know, grow into snowballing into bigger things.
Right.
And in some cases, we also sold our condo. Like, so obviously after meeting with Ling, he was walking his dog. I was walking my daughter. So it was kind of interesting in a rainy park of typical Seattle.
She bought me like Asian bread, which if you haven't had Asian bread before, it's really good.
Right.
And at the time, I was very into paleo and that stuff, so that was a big treat to me. So we instantly became good buddies.
Yes. Yeah. And then I think our dog and daughter kind of bonded in a different, strange way. They all need babysitting, so yeah. So and then from there we sold our condo. We did 1031 into 2 properties, and also take out some HELOCs on our house, serve as a down payment for our 4plexes. So we got a couple 4plexes at the time. Again, it's not the bottom of the market, but we were still kind of ahead of the curve a little bit. Yeah.
So let's talk about like the transition to kind of being more or less a landlord to the investor side. So we had met. I was kind of telling you some crazy ideas I was thinking about this biggest stuff where everybody goes into a deal.
Right.
And I was going to a faraway land to meet other investors doing the same thing. And the next couple of years, you're still kind of unraveling the BRRRR struts, but you eventually came along on the journey too.
Yeah. So while Ling was starting his awesome podcast, when he first started, I'm like, what is this crazy stuff? Like, it's like he's talking about like coffee parcels and coffee farms and etc. I'm like, okay. But one of the things that was really interesting was the larger apartment building stuff. It's like, to become a principal, so I asked a lot of questions to him, and he was gracious enough to spend his time with me to kind of talk about how the deal kind of structures and etc. So eventually, we finally got our units renovated, ready to go. So we were in a position to kind of move to the next stage. And really, at the time, also the deal dries out in where we live, where cash flow don't make sense anymore. Right. So then we went outside the state. So you got to go a little bigger when you go outside the state, simply because the resources, etc.
Right. And if you want to go into a bigger deal, you want to have that cash flow, especially in this market.
So you want a little bit more cash flow, but we still want to have control over the building. Between I would say between 8 to 50 units or so gets really tricky to manage. Some people would say 65, because it's kind of like you can't get really professional.
That's at that point you get that person in there full time. Right.
Like once you're beyond the 65 units, some people would say 70. You start having one on-site people on.
Right. I mean, I think in addition to that, to your point, when you get under $1 million loan size, so like what is that, like a $2 to $3 million property?
We actually attempted an acquisition as a syndication. It's kind of by accident. We could have bought the place ourselves. However, my partner at the time, foot on the ground partner at the time, wanted to do a syndication, so we actually tried to do syndication on it. And then it was kind of really tough projects to start doing syndication as a principal, because we didn't have investor database. We didn't know like crazy rich people who has already loan. If you're just crazy rich, it doesn't really count.
Mom out.
Right. And then you have to have experience on these the recourse loans and etc. Somehow we got all the ducks in a row, but it took us a long time to do that. Eventually the deal didn't go through because of crazy story. Our attorney kind of screwed up the transaction. Took way too long to close the deal, about a day too long to close the deal. And our crazy owner has just decided to hike up the price 10%. And we just couldn't do it.
Sometimes it's just bad juju, but like you learn a lot in the process of doing that.
Right. Like the first deal is always the most difficult.
Right.
But we learn a lot more on that. Yeah.
So nowadays you're kind of getting to that point where you're thinking about leaving the day job. Maybe talk a little bit about like your thoughts and like, as we said earlier, you're trying to shoot for like 150,000 per year passive. I mean, I'm always kind of watching folks like yourself, because like I'm not quite higher on that net worth scale, and I'm just trying to see how you guys are kind of taking that plunge, or the other metaphor is that runway, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to build your runway to quit your day job to do this other thing, whether you're going to do it full-time, part-time, or not just go passive.
My partner, life partner, He's already working for us full time, so we essentially have a single income family. And that's pretty difficult. Like, it was a mind bogger thing. I mean, we haven't obviously quit my job yet. So I'm still bringing in pretty good income from like golden handcuffs.
Easy money, but at this point.
Right. Yeah. So, but the thoughts was like, hey, we got to make the plunge, because I'm at the point, I think it's the pain that moved you. Because I'm at the point where I was like, well, actually my day job is a hindrance to what I'm doing.
Right.
Because I literally have to say no to some partnerships or ESD deals, because I just simply could not scale with my day job at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the difference between you and me. You got the kid, and I got a dog that really sleeps most of the day anyway. So.
Well, I mean, like, having a supportive life partner is really important, because he kind of takes care of all that stuff too.
So something that for people at home, the whole thought is that we're always trying to do new things. What's something that you've been trying to try out for the last 2 weeks, or some short-term project that you've been kind of tinkering with?
Yeah, kind of goes back to the pain point. It's again, I'm like, well, how can I replicate myself? The reality is that you can't. Nobody can do the stuff you think as well as you do. But there are people who's out there who specialize in certain things that they would be better at. So really try to figure out that, hiring people, training people so that they can take your responsibility and not have to worry about it. We had a minor success in hiring subcontractors. Actually, we now have a helper ourselves. In terms of remodels and all that stuff for the units that we own locally. And she's been doing a fantastic job, because we're in Hawaii right now. We have a unit up for...
Yeah, a very fitting question, because the last 2 weeks you've been spurring off from Hawaii, right?
Right, yeah, totally. On the beach, spending time with the family because we really need it. So she's been doing the jobs. She's been looking at the 2 units that are being turned. And then she's sending over some pictures and all that stuff. So, it really, in these 2 weeks, I really realized the value of her. Previously, my partner does kind of more the supervising, but this project she kind of just does herself.
Right.
And really have proven that being really a time saver, that we can just say, oh, like, go do this. These are the stuff that we want to do, and then just gets done. You're like, oh, now it's ready to list it by the time we get home.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. and I'll give you props. I mean, last week when we were trying to close this 168 unit deal, you're here on the beach trying to track down all these wires and DocuSigns.
It's crazy.
And, yeah. That's how it should be, right?
Right.
Like you kind of work a little bit, but then you have the freedom to do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, you got to do what you got to do, and then the other part of the scaling out is also, I'm trying to figure out, I just had a new kind of contractor worker that start working with me. I'm training her on underwriting. So, so that this way my pipeline isn't hogged by myself. So she does the initial underwriting analyst, and then I do the later stuff. So, I was able to go to the airport on my way. People sending me deals. I was like, hey, like, can you pull a CoStar report on this one? Yeah. And then let me know what your summaries are. Like, and that's been kind of really helpful. So really leveraging other people's time.
And that's, you and I have kind of masterminded on this before. It's like, it's really hard to get people like that to stick around. How many people go into apartment investing and they just never really push through past the 18 months?
I think he's just going to stick with it. Our first, the large apartment deal, like, obviously that fell through. It was really demoralizing, but we only allowed ourselves, me and my partner was really great on that, because we kind of focused on, okay, what did we do wrong? Even though, you always try to take the responsibility yourself.
Right.
And then try to see, like, what can we improve the next step? Instead of just like kind of cry about it, you kind of pick it up and you're like, well, we learned all these things because now we know how to close a whole apartment building. We're confident we can do it. And then now, like, what do we learn over here? So then we document all the stuff that we have.
Change your SOPs. I mean, that's the difference between fakers and makers. I mean, the people that really improve take it as a learning lesson and just try and improve, as opposed to people that just kind of whine and cry to themselves.
And then we also wrote down, like, these things, like, who can help us what skill sets that we have to learn to get there, and then went ahead and just did them.
I mean, you lost what, like 30-50 grand on that
Yeah,
one
we
or
lost
something?
about 33K on this.
Yeah,
thing.
so like when people are like, oh, hey, the syndicator job is easy. Well, part of that is putting up the hard money. So if you guys would like to do that, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
About 50, 100 grand, and hopefully make it through due diligence and close the thing.
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't in a crazy market where we need to put in like 200K hard money down.
Yeah, usually it's about 2 to 10% these days, right? Depends on the market.
Yeah, it depends on the market, really. I mean, in the more tertiary market or Southeast market, you don't quite need to do that.
Yeah, but Dallas is like
Dallas is Dallas people likes to see hard money up in the front.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really depends on the market. Even in Seattle, Tacoma market, you think it's really hot, but hard money isn't a thing, really a huge thing in this market. Versus Dallas, everybody just want to see the money cash.
A lot more bargain hunters, more semi-sophisticated investors. Where Seattle, the primary markets, you just got a lot of people with a lot of, like, I call them accredited unsophisticated. They just don't know what they're doing. So
Right.
Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But so you've been here hanging out for the last 2 weeks. Any, because you'll probably listen to this a year from now, any takeaways that you can from the vacation that you want to like keep doing? Because it's always nice to come on break and kind of take a pause and how things are going.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of reconnect while you're like hustling. It's really important to reconnect people who are important in your life. Really spend time with them. I think that is very important. Of course, give everybody a heads up when you're out of office.
Oh yeah.
I think a part of us is to be always connected with our investors. So, Ling actually creates some opportunity for me to meet some new folks. So here, while I'm traveling, also some tax deductible, activities, really like important to connect with people. And my takeaway also is like set up a system so that we can take more of these time to connect with people who are important, right? And that's kind of looking at our stack of things to do, like, and really prioritize on what can we outsource. So removing ourselves from the phone.
I'm super excited about a new program I'm rolling out that's going to reinvent scammy real estate education programs. So excited, like Marie Kondo cleaning stuff up excited. Announcing my new mastermind program, which consists of a closed member site with 27 packed weeks of content, plus bi-weekly group video conference calls to ask whatever. Half of the calls will be centered around granular investing tactics, and the other half will be holistic wealth building strategies that I have learned from the wealthy. That's 25 plus hours of group coaching and masterminding, and a secret Facebook group too. I know what you're thinking, not another flippin' Facebook group. Well, this one's gonna be different, more intimate, exclusive, and no cheapskates or shady vendors in it. I've been coaching individual clients over the past couple years, and I figured out what you guys need and a way to provide it in a cost-effective way. Learn more, go to simplepassivecashflow.com/journey and join before the first cohort fills up and the introductory pricing goes away.
Right, and in case you guys haven't caught on, we closed like a 168 unit deal together, and it wouldn't have happened if we didn't meet 3 years ago, right? I mean, and then being in contact every so often and just kind of keeping in touch. And I think, you go into these deals and it's hard to trust people because it seems like people kind of come from nowhere. There's a lot of players, but I think it's cool when you meet somebody and you're both on the same ground zero and you kind of jump to level 1, level 2, and you trust the person because they're kind of doing the same thing. You're seeing how they're putting in effort as opposed to this person that just shows up with a website right where you're at and you're kind of scratching your head because nobody knows who they are.
Right.
And there's enough good people doing good deals that it's just not worth working with some random person that just appears out of nowhere.
Right. Because on the receiving end, it's like once you get to our level, which is, I would say like there's still a lot higher level to go, but you get more requests on like, hey, can you work on my deal? Like, or hey, like, can you, help with this? And then you start only gravitate towards like people who you trust or had a fit. more like a face-to-face
Yeah.
interaction was, or you have connected it before,
Right.
through a more frequent channel.
Right. I mean, like we all do the Facebook groups to begin with,
Mhm.
and then the other forums, but like you really got to get off of those things, I think, and get out of the house and put some clothes on and go out, meet people face to face, because you get the sense of who they are, and then
Right.
Most important thing is building an other network to vet
Right.
the other person.
Right.
Right.
Right. And then so like for me, my partner qualification is really high. It has to be something like I feel 100% I can trust. Not only that, because you can be good people, but your personality don't really gel, then you wouldn't be a good partnership. Because then all you do is like fight each other, right? So, more deals has gone south. When I talk with wealthy people, like there's only two ways to kind of really lose big. It's not like the down cycle of the economy. It's not any of that. It's usually the bad partnership and then the divorce, which is essentially a bad life partnership.
Right.
So that's very important. That's why it's something that I really pay attention to. Also, if my foot on the ground operator is going to be two people, which I usually prefer, because the one person can go on vacation and the other person picks up a ball, and etc. Like these two has to have a very good working dynamics.
Right. Right.
Essentially, yeah.
So any next year, any kind of a big project that you're kind of working on, something different, something more of like a long-term project you're working on?
Yeah. So of course, quitting our jobs.
Yeah. You think next year is the year that you're gonna?
Yeah, we have to do a couple more deals to do that. Also, one large project we're actually in the progress of doing is, we're doing a 1031 exchange into a tenant in common structure.
Or a tick,
right.
as we talk about it a lot.
Right, tick in the deal in Arizona. So Arizona will be a new market for us. It's a crazy appreciation market. And we're exiting a lot of like a couple of our deals in Tacoma, rolling our money into that tick. And there's a lot of benefits to that, with what we're doing.
Right.
And then we do have a big chunk of money that kind of does that due to, our local market has done very well.
So for you, that's the trigger. You're basically taking a lot of debt equity, lazy equity, and putting it into cash, fresh new leverage.
Right.
And then that's going to be the trigger that gets you up to that threshold.
Right. It's a big chunk of it, right? So, just some background on it is like we bought a place in Tacoma with a partner about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And we basically doubled the return for our partner, like basically 100% the return, more than 100% return to our passive investor there, and essentially double your equity, and then moved out that equity into the Arizona deal, which we plan on potentially do the same thing in a year or two. It's a relatively smaller unit sizes than what we typically do. But there's a lot of benefit in the tick structure because our other partners are bringing cash, and we're bringing the 1031, so we can allocate all our 1031s to purchase price, and still have a budget for capital expenditure. And that's the biggest lesson that we learned for our 12 unit, which is like budget for your capital expenditure. Instead of try to reach it into your pocket, try to pay for it. That was really painful for a year and a half, or for a year when we first started the project. And then in this case, we learned from that, and then so essentially was able to 100% roll that money over and doesn't have to reach in our pocket for the capital expenditure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you mentioned your simple passive cash flow number is like 120 to 150 a year.
Yeah.
So imagine you had like 2 times that.
Yeah.
And what at that point, describe your ideal day. What would you be doing? Would you be living in Hawaii or what kind of projects would you be working on at that point? Are you still going to be screwing around with apartments?
So I think apartments, yes. Actually, also the other big project I want to do next year, transition I want to do is, aside from the apartment buildings, really get ramped up on mobile home park. So me and a couple of my partners have been talking about mobile home parks. I've got pretty good connection with the operators in Midwest and whatnot. So I feel like we're ready for mobile home parks. Of course, need to get myself educated on that. Feel comfortable with bringing my investor into it. But it's just a second type of asset to diversify for us. So yeah, so I mean, like if 2 times our income there, I would think, you know, for us, it would be starting to put some more thoughts into, you know, new projects that we want to do, which is kind of, you know, really helping youth to start having financial educations. You know, it's been my dream to kind of have financial educations for youth in the world. So, you know, start thinking about, like, kicking start that project, brainstorm more so. And also, you know, kind of take some more times off with the family while still work, you know, but like in a different location.
Yeah.
Probably not in Hawaii because there's crazy mosquitoes here sometimes.
Yeah.
And you know, we've been kind of thinking about going to the Spanish islands where we have relatives out there. Yeah.
Cool. So a couple of things there. I'm kind of doing the same thing, trying to find other asset classes. I've been kind of keeping random notes on my website. If you guys go to simplepassivecapital.com/start, there's a list of all these like mobile home parks,
Right.
retail shopping centers, and
Right.
I just dump like notes into there. But what I've been doing is like just reading a bunch of stuff, like how you just kind of peruse the internet, jot down notes, start to learn the rules of thumb. And then maybe my next step is to go to like a boot camp for one of these things, just like how we did it for apartments, right?
Right. Yeah.
Any thoughts there? Like how do you learn?
Oh, yeah. So
like, what's the strategy?
You know, I was lucky that I knew a few operators of mobile home park, and they were very generous people in this game.
So buy them bread too.
Yeah, buy them bread too. Well, in this case, they were remote, so I can't really send them e-bread.
Yeah.
But whenever I see them, you know, it really kind of just also help them to grow bigger because they have been owning their own mobile home parks, running some successful backtracker, but they're kind of scared to.
For the person like listening at home, I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that's always been made. It's like, hey Lisa, how's it going? It's like me, like I'm a newbie. Like, hey, if there's anything you need help, let me know. Right. All right, peace. Yeah. And you're like, well, what the heck do I do at that, right? Like, I don't have time to figure out stuff for you to do. Right. So what are some ways, like, you know, somebody who's kind of often moving, what are some ways you need help that somebody who you haven't met before can help you to start building that relationship other than sending you bread or e-bread or
I think one way is to try to make connections, right? So like, hey, like I have, you know, I always ask this questions like, who do you know? Sure, you may not be interested in this investment, but who do you know that actually might be interested in? So I've got a few people who were really good, like they never invested with me, right? But I spent time with them, you know, teaching them on a few things. And then they been kind of just sending referrals to me to say like, oh, like so-and-so was like, you know, would it be super good? Let me connect you with it. And I was like, oh, okay, wow. Like, you know, that's been kind of helpful. And then like, also they kind of listened on like what I was saying, like, oh, I kind of want to do this. And then they go and took the initiatives and they like sending me stuff like, hey, like I read about this, thought about this for you. You know, could this be like kind of helpful for you?
Yeah, I mean, I still have my 2 to 3 calls a day with random investors, and you guys can still sign up for that. I don't know if I'll ever stop that, but maybe at some point. I mean, right now it's only for Deal Club members, but you probably run into this type of character a lot. They talk to everybody. They kind of always like they're a mile wide, inch deep kind of people, and then you kind of already know like, okay, this dude's not going to go anywhere already, right? So if that's you listening right now, it's not like we're talking crap about you, and it's not like you're a bad person, but you need to like change that because that's probably the reason why you're not hitting success.
Right, like kind of focus, right? Like I've actually met a few investors. I guess unlikely, I should be more likely, which value my time a little bit more. But I do talk with a few people, you know, with that, because you know, with me, that's like I wanted to help others to also reach their moment. Right. So, you know, I sometimes will spend a session with someone that I met in a conference. They kind of made their ways to the conference, right? And then you just like sometimes it's really painful to watch them go into all conferences but didn't come up with anything.
conference junkie.
Right. So it's like, you know, sometimes I just really break it down to say, hey, you really need to take actions on this. You know, pick one thing. All things are all like, there's pros and cons on everything, you know, or guru programs or whatever. Like, pick one thing, stick with it. People always overestimate what they can achieve in a
That's
year.
a Tony Robbins quote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, he stole it from there, I guess.
Well, Tony Robbins probably stole it from Think and Grow Rich, right? That's where the Bible all came from.
And then, you know, underestimate, you know, what they can achieve in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And that's really true. Like, in a year, you may feel like, oh, I haven't done anything. And that's how I feel like in 2017 when I was like, well, I can't find any deal. You know, but like I still continue to go to 2 or 3 meetups a week, you know, just sticking with it. And eventually, little do you know, you're like, wow, okay, I built up such a network. And then now I can actually do something with the network that I have built up. Sticking with one thing and just keep going at it. Because if you divide your attention to all different things, you can't really get anything done.
I kind of like have this strategy when I have calls with people. I try and help them as much as I can. I give.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I'm testing you. I'm trying to see what kind of a person you are. Are you reciprocal? Or are you a giver or are you a taker? Because takers will always take.
Right.
I'm like, all right, go take all these referrals, go do it yourself. I never want to see you again.
Yeah.
But the good people come back.
Right.
And now we team up like this.
Right.
And do something bigger. And it's just kind of cool to have sporting buddies in the future.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my strategy, and it kind of plays hand in hand, right?
Right.
You've got a deal, you know, don't like, you know, give it up, right? Like, I mean, that's just what you have to do in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's very much like a, you know, small gesture kind of goes a long way. I'm actually really bad at this. I need to like start hiring a person who writes thank you notes, literally, like, you know, because I'm really bad at this. So that's something that I need to do. But really, like, I'm always looking for ways where I can bring more value, for example, to my investors, where I can give more stuff that help them to get it to a higher level, you know, from the understanding of how to place their cash everywhere. It may not be my deal, like it may be someone else's or, you know, some other vehicle. I've actually had conversation with my investor and say, well, I don't think you're ready for this one, you know, instead of just trying to get them into the deal, because I want to make sure that they are actually doing the right thing. Because I know, like, eventually they will come back. Like that trust building.
You build a relationship and then you cultivate it.
Right. And then I think that's a big, you know, learning, and then it's a thing that everybody kind of have to keep in mind.
So that's kind of the next question is, say somebody comes up to you 10, 15 years earlier in progression, that's either a young Lane or another computer programmer that's like just out of college.
Right.
They have like negative $50,000 net worth. They make a good salary. What do you think that person should be investing? Because they obviously don't have enough money to be a passive investor in a syndication.
Yeah. So I would say, I think at the first is like trying to save up a little bit. There is a certain threshold where you save up to. You know, I've actually met these folks, you know, in live events, or they will come back and say, wow, like I have not a lot of money, but I have a good job and I work hard, I huge hustle. And then it's like, try to see like what kind of living expenses. I mean, you don't want to live in these conditions for too long, but you know, you do have to go through an intensified period in order to get, you know, because what you try to do is try to condense that 30 years of working life into like 5-10 years, right? So like, of course, you're going to be expecting putting out efforts, condense that 30 years of efforts into 5 or 10 years. So it's okay to start making some sacrifices if you don't have significant others or kids. You know, your life, really, you have nothing to lose. So think about different ways to like house hack, like preserve your capital, so that it can get to a point where you have some money, and you can start doing investment. And really, like, I think stock or hard money lending could potentially be a vehicle for you to build it, as long as you kind of know what you're doing.
But ultimately, you have to be the direct owner to buy some stuff.
Correct. Yeah. Like, you know, I don't really recommend, because some people who have like 100K or something, or, you know, slightly more, but not quite large, they often were facing the choice of doing it themselves, or, you know, investing with others. again, market has cycles right now. Doing yourself, you're going to probably likely do more mistakes. So it's better to kind of work with others to see like, hey, how I can leverage someone who's already successful, been there, done that, you know, and then start making some cash flows and kind of learn from these passive deals.
So one way that looks is like, go to a conference, go find somebody who's on your level, who maybe you guys will put in 10 grand to go buy a turnkey together, 10 grand. Or maybe you just partner up in a think tank where you go get the take your 20 grand, go buy a turnkey. I'll go buy a turnkey, and then we'll compare notes every so often. So it's like you bought two.
Right.
So you get more data that way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, other things is just kind of like a saving, because it's, if you have a high paying jobs, like a computer related job, IT job, like, look, we all both kind of worked in these, well, I have worked in these fields. It's very likely you're able to save like 40K a year. Like if you went on an extreme, like money mustache, you know, lifestyle, you can potentially save up to like 60K or something a year, right? Which is enough for a passive investment like a year. And then you just kind of learn from there. Also, you can invest in your education, you know, learning from the books, and then, or some sort of seminar or whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I think what are your thoughts on like starting off with like a $20,000 course? Like I mean, people have like all kinds of ideas on that.
I think when you hit certain level, I mean, it makes no sense for you to go through a 20K course if you have no capital to do anything with it, right? But it makes sense if you have, let's say, 100K saved up. I will always say, like, my break-even numbers when I advise people is always like, try to save up 100K. It does sounds like a lot of number, like, but try to save up 100K or so, 150, if you want to be a principal on these apartment deals. And then buy a course of education and get yourself there, because you know, check with the educations that's out there that's going to help you build a network, and that's very important, because you know, education's all the same. You can get that from the books, the websites, etc. But it's the people who's in the programmers.
Yeah, I kind of see it as like the NOS in terms of car racing, right? You want to take the NOS when you're going 5 miles an hour, your car will probably just break.
Yeah.
And you'll end up going 40 miles an hour. But I think both of us kind of took it at the right time.
Right.
Net worth about $400 to $1 million net worth. That'll get you. That'll shoot you forward.
Right. So like, to start with, it's kind of like, you know, it's a little bit tough, but, you know, looking at our path, it was just, you know, having that first 50 to 100K, you know, start doing something with it ourselves, and then put in the sweat equity, because that's what we have, and then start rolling it.
Next question here is something that you want to buy that does a time savings or improvement in quality of life. Other than that coupon that you're another couponer.
I definitely want to outsource more, you know, get the professional to do the professional work. Essentially, you know, eventually we'll hire our own. In my head, I have this work chart, at least 5 people that I need to hire. So that's going to be a huge time saver. But again, we have to build up that income to support these employees. But you know, there are vendor services that's out there, you know, for $1,000 here, $1,000 there, that they can kind of build the basic stuff for you. So definitely, I have a couple things that I wanted to buy, you know, getting my website ramped up and all that stuff, and getting my, you know, the CRM tracking system all systemized and etc. And the second thing is, you know, having a meal plan, like basically a meal service, delivery service. You know, subscribe to one. So healthy meal services, one that has like, I don't know, a paleo or whatever the famous, like, the most recent diets is, or keto diets. Because the one thing that we notice is, like, because we're doing hustling so much, you know, I spend a lot of time going to meetups at nights and etc. So at home, you know, there's not a lot of food that's being cooked or planned, you know, and then I really treasure the time where we can sit together and eat as a family.
Because I remember my childhood was like, we're gonna go grocery shopping and we're gonna go cook this thing when the food's ready. And all this time is, and then Like you clean up after, right? Like
Yeah,
I use all paper plates and like chopsticks.
That,
and I just
that's
throw it
good.
away these days.
Yeah. So there are meal plans. Fortunately enough, like now in the technology world, like there are meal plans that's out there that are pretty healthy.
This is the one where they deliver it to you.
Yeah, and then where they deliver to you, and then you just subscribe weekly in a way so that by the time you get home, food's already there and it's healthy. You know, unlike going out and eating.
So it comes like once a week, and then there's like a dozen meals.
Right. I mean, like if I have all the money I have, I'll just hire a personal chef.
Yeah.
But you know, that's probably the second best thing.
I know a few of my buddies do that. They hire somebody for like $20 an hour. They go to Costco, buy all the meat or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the person comes to their house
and prep it
and does it all for the whole week. They come on Sunday or whatever. But again, there takes time / money to go find a person to do that for you.
Right. Yeah. I found that like I just couldn't find people like that, and it was really hard to find on internet. But then I did stumble on these meal plan stuff.
So I would recommend, and tell me how you found it, but like go to like may not do CrossFit, but go to the website or just call them up and say, hey, who are you guys affiliate for that meal plan?
Okay.
Or you can just Google it. But I noticed like that's a good way of finding. A lot of times it's just a local person.
Yeah.
So are you doing it all meals or like 50% of the?
We haven't started that yet. But I do plan on doing like a whole week, like maybe 5 meals a week or something.
It's what, like $12 a meal, right? Which sounds expensive, but
it's healthy ingredients. I mean, the key is the healthy part. You know, like because I can do takeouts and all that stuff, but the key is like kind of the.
You know why I think it's kind of affected too, and I'll start doing this next year too. Yeah. So we'll follow up on this. But like like that's why I started going to personal trainer, because I'm like, oh my god, my brain is on all day. Let me just freaking turn my brain off and just tell me what to do, right?
Right. Yeah.
So here they're like, all right, just eat this. When you're done eating it, you're done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
like I think type A personalities really need that. Like.
Yeah. I mean, like that's why, like it's also it's draw the analogy with our passive investors, because my investor was telling me, well, I had a whole mind melting work that I feel really stimulating. I never want to like quit my job, like because not everybody has goals to quit my job, right? But I do want to build up my passive income, so in a way that I have the freedom to. So then they're like, then my job is yielding more than my investment. Like I want to just kind of do that. So the same thing. It's like, hey, just tell me what to do, like, and then I don't have to worry about it, right? So and then I can focus more on what I do good, which is my job. So some of that, and the same thing here is like, hey, I don't have to worry about all these nutritions on the food. Just give me the food and it's prepared. It's like done. You know?
I don't want to go listen to all the podcasts about what's the newest
or read the books on like all the keto diets.
Last question here. This is the Tony Robbins question. So he has 2 large concepts. If you go to his seminar, we're actually going to be doing the mastermind thing. Our group is going to go and get upgrade a couple levels because we're going as a group. But he in that seminar, he does like talks about the art of fulfillment, like trying to be happy, because you don't want to be like Robin Williams and have this big success and kill yourself. So like, what's one way that you can have kind of like keep things in perspective as you kind of continue to take over the universe? And
well, I think it's again, more time to spend with people who I want to spend time with. But also I do have this large ambitious goal of, create financial education system for all the kids in the world, possibly. So that's another puzzle that I gotta go figure out how to do. To me, it was really interesting to constantly challenging myself, because I think if I just take vacations every day in Hawaii, like I would just be melted. Like my mind would just be melted and I'll be bored to death. But setting up a goal for myself in 5 years where you keep your eyes on the prize and everything would just kind of fall into place. I think that's really a key for me.
Right. Always having that next goal and then kind of be trying to achieve that.
Right. But knowing what your end goals are, because you don't want like your end goals to be not in parallel with what you're doing right now. Right. So yeah.
So the other question is, what is the science of achievement? Any secret or hacks that you want to share? Because I've met a lot of people in a park with my dog, but not many of them have went out and bought several hundred apartment units like yourself. So what is it that you think is kind of quirky or something maybe people can incorporate that into their productivity system?
I think it's so I think, you know, the one thing is again setting up the goal, because if you don't know where you're going, then you're likely not gonna get there. So like really writing down, you know, for me, I have a very vivid vision of what my life will be in 5 years if like money isn't a subject, and I actually worked out a number to achieve that lifestyle. And then I work backwards on like, okay, so year one, what I needed, year two, what I needed, and what does that break down to? How many syndication deal, how many passive incomes, like how many units, and etc. And then like then it become concrete. You know, then you go like start hitting the numbers, and the rest kind of just fall into places a lot of times.
So I talk to a lot of people. They're like, I want to own 1,000 units. I'm like, all right, awesome, dude.
Right.
Those are goals, but do you break it down? Maybe you just do this subconsciously. Do you have like performance goals? Like every week I will work 3 hours to call brokers or...
Yes. So it's breaking down to like weekly activities per se. You know, again, I'm not like super organized. I think I've seen people who have done more enrichment that way and have done better success than I am. Really kind of it's all small things, which is like writing down the to-do list for today, try to budget what you can do for the day. And then you do the weekly plan and you do the monthly plan. And then the quarterly, it's a little harder to plan, but like quarterly, you just write down the larger goals that we want to do. In a year, what we want to do. Okay, so like want to do 5 syndication deals, then that means like 1.25 deal like every quarter. And so that means I have to contact this many people. Well, in order to fund them, then I needed this many investors, and break down okay, I need to talk to 2 investors a day, you know, then it start to show itself. I need to call 2 brokers a day. Well, I can't really do all these stuff. Okay, I need to hire a person who calls brokers all days and all
I
that
just
stuff.
need someone to bring my meals to my desk.
Right. And then pretty soon you look at you like 24 hours a day, you need to sleep for 8 hours. I sleep 8 hours. You know.
So do I.
So then like this is the stuff that you did, man hours that you could do. And then at one point you're like, okay, I can't possibly do all that stuff. So you either have to adjust your goal or start to outsource some of these activities.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think also the other thing that was really helpful for me, and I've been kind of falling off the wagon for a couple of weeks now, but you know, get back onto it, is like waking up early. That waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like you don't just wake up doing nothing. Like I did do the miracle morning thing, you know, which is like a wake up, meditate, read, and journaling. I changed it to a flavor that kind of suits my activity.
Yeah, I never liked that thing. Like basically write down the same crap every single day. I thought that was super waste of time.
I thought it was actually useful for me because it's a reaffirmation, like, oh, I gotta do this, like keep myself on the goal. Again, it's like being a single focus on like, this is what I need to do if I need to throw away everything, right? So I thought that was personally helpful for me.
Yeah.
But also journaling on like what I did yesterday. And I also wrote down like the most important thing, the most to least important things of the day that I need to finish. Right. So then this way, like I hit the first 3, then I don't have time to do the rest. Usually my list is like a laundry list of super long thing. Yeah. And it's like, okay, it's okay. Like the rest of, 20 items haven't been done because the first 3 has been done. Yeah.
Something that I've been trying to do this last month is like, because both of us have these long laundry lists of stuff, right? To like break it down and like, what are the 4 most important things to do in physical relationships with the business or work, and then something to do something for fun.
Right.
So before I go to bed, usually these are the things that are on the list that never get done.
Yeah.
So what I do is I bring those 4 up to the top. And then in the morning, that's when I try and do it, like the first thing.
Yeah. So I think the night routine is really helpful too. Both actually for my full-time work too, like if I check the calendar to see second day what I need to do, usually set me up for a better day than like in the morning, because then in the morning I can just like focus on the most important things to start doing. So I think definitely the first hour of your day is very important, and the last like 30 minutes of your day is pretty important. So try to make sure that you kind of reserve that
Do you
time.
do the meditating thing?
I don't do it as much now, but when I was doing it, it was helpful. Like it only took like 5 minutes, you know, just to calm down and clear your mind.
Yeah.
And then do the affirmation stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're more of like a machine. So
No. No. Yeah. No, I've been kind of falling off the wagon for a few months. I think in my routine or whatnot.
Yeah, me too. It's good to check.
You know, get back to it because I did notice when I was doing the routine, I was a lot more productive. And then now I'm kind of reaping the benefit of when I was productive. Right, so just set up for next year. I gotta start being more.
But you just closed an $11 million deal, so.
Yeah, along with you. Yeah.
So anything else you wanted to kind of get out there and?
I think not really. Again, like I think the biggest takeaway is, you know, focus on your goals, and figure out what they are, break them down, you know, making them something that is attainable. And also spend time. Don't forget to spend time and celebrate your successes.
Yeah, that's something you struggle with.
Right.
We gotta keep you accountable on that.
Yeah. So I think it's great to celebrate successes. Just know, like you're like, hey, I achieved this. Great. Like, you know, can be as small as like buying yourself a coffee or, you know.
Yeah.
Just high five each other, you know. And for me, it's actually, I have a close to Facebook group and we do post successes and things to do every Monday. Well, at least we try to. So this way, like people are sharing that success. So surround yourself with positive energy versus like negative.
Yeah. Well, you want to get your contact information out there for people that say hi? Yeah.
So you can, the best way to kind of reach me is Facebook, really. It's basically you can find Elisa Zhang, Elisa Zhang on Facebook, and I think I'm only the Elisa, like Elisa in Seattle. And otherwise you can find me on my email. You can email me your questions or whatnot. You know, the turnaround time is not promised until I hire the assistant that helps me do that. That's Elisa, Elisa, like electronic Lisa, Elisa, at reestate.rocks, ROCKS, not .com, not .org, .rocks.
Yeah, I call her Easy Money. She used to work pretty hard for it, but now it's easy.
Yeah, it gets easier as you build it.
Yeah. All right, well, cool. Thanks for listening, guys.
All right. Bye.
This website offers very general information concerning real estate for investment purposes. Every investor situation is unique. Always seek the services of licensed third-party appraisers and inspectors to verify the value and condition of any property you intend to purchase. Use the services of professional title and escrow companies and licensed tax, investment, and or legal advisor before relying on any information contained herein. Information is not guaranteed, as in every investment there is risk. The content found here is just my opinion, and things change, and I reserve the right to change my mind. Above all else, do your own analysis and think for yourself, because in the end, you are the only person who is going to look out for your best interests.